Welcome to H3 Live. You're here with Trish and Steve. Hello, Steve Boese.
Hey Trish, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. It's great to be back here doing an H3 Live. I'm excited
I
for
know.
the first one of 2026.
I'm excited too, and I guess we should let people in on a little secret. So, kind of if you're not familiar with us, we started doing lives 5 days a week. We did them for about 3.5 years during COVID, maybe a little longer. And then we started sort of tapering off because it causes a lot of burnout, right? When you're doing it every single day. Um, and then last year was kind of our year of regrouping. So now we're going to try and commit once a week, every Wednesday, unless we're on the road, but we'll even try it when we're on the road.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it'd be fun just to check in and do a little bit of kind of what's going on in the world and then how that impacts business, right? Not just HR, but business in general. So, yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to be back. It's busy time. It's been a busy few weeks. You don't have to tell anybody watching this just how yeah, nuts it's
Yeah.
been in and around work and workplaces and in and around just what's going on in the world right now. It's a crazy time.
Yeah, you know what? That makes me just sort of thinking about, I know we talk a lot about burnout and how we're impacted by the things that are going on in the world. And I don't know, I think when I was younger, I was more of the under the belief that as organizations, we need to just sort of stay out of anything, whether it's political or just global things happening. Like I was a little bit of removed from that. And I don't know, I just feel like the more we think about how employees show up to work, and we've said forever, bring your whole self, right? And we do. And that's just it. When we're seeing chaos in all these other parts of not just our country, but globally, it does impact the way that people are showing up to work, right?
Yeah, I do think that. And I think it's very privileged to take the position of, oh, just ignore those things or don't bring those to
Yeah.
work or they're not part of work. They're, separate and don't show up at work. If you're thinking about things that are happening in the world or things that are happening in your own life, whether they're affordability
Oh,
concerns in the US or
hmm,
caregiving concerns. We're doing a lot around caregiving again this year.
yeah. Yeah.
We just did a podcast about it. And certainly, obviously, what's happening socially, politically, culturally right now in America. It's a very stressful time. So if you're a leader, I believe anyway, who can sit there and say, "Oh, well, we're here to work and just show up and work and ignore all those other things." I
Yeah.
think that's just super privileged and not fair, probably either to your employees to take that point of view.
Yeah. Well, it's going to have a cost, right? There's a dollar and cents cost attached to productivity when it's down anyway. And so I think what I'm hoping we see more of is that organizational leaders, it's not that you necessarily have to come out on a side on any of these, right? Things that are going on in the world. What I think it gives an opportunity, though, is to talk about caring for your employees. We talked about caregiving, right? That employees are doing for their families or friends. But
Yeah.
I think we need to think about organizational caregiving, and I haven't heard anyone talk about that other than you. So,
Mhm.
I think this is probably something we can continue to explore, as the weeks go on and
Yeah.
see what do we think? What can we find? It was interesting. I wanted to mention, give a little bit of a shout out. Mark Vickers over at HR.com just came out with, a really excellent study on, HR's highest priorities in 2026, and excuse me. I've shared them, reshared what he posted, or you can check him out on LinkedIn for the full study. But some of the top things that HR is having priorities, which is things like AI usage in the
Mhm.
organization at very top, number one, 38%. 31% of people said employee retention. I think what we're talking about, burnout, it absolutely impacts that.
Mhm.
Um, number three was 28% said leadership development. And for the fourth and fifth spot, it was tied at 26% of people saying performance management and employee experience. So, what I'm not hearing though is that actual caring and demonstrating care for our employees and our leaders is not in there. Or if
Yeah.
it is, it's so far down the list, right?
I'm surprised it hasn't perked up to the level of whatever a
Yeah,
top 5 or top 7 priority
me too.
for organizations for HR leaders because it, ignoring these problems won't make them go away, and pretending
Right.
employees aren't suffering through these challenges won't um, won't stop them from having problems with presenteeism, absenteeism,
Mhm.
you know, poor customer service, right? All the bad outcomes that happen when employees can't concentrate on their work, when they're too stressed by things that are happening in their outside work. I mean, burnout in the organization too is often part of the organization's design, right?
Sure.
We've
Yeah.
been talking about external factors, right, that are influencing stress and burnout right now and mental health,
Yeah.
but there are also plenty of internal factors as well, whether that's workload
Mhm.
imbalances, lack of flexibility, unrealistic demands, whether it's toxic cultures, right? There's a lot of things that happen inside the organization that
Yeah.
contribute to or even cause burnout in the first place, right? So
Yeah.
I don't want to be someone who's saying, "Oh my gosh, the sky is falling," right? Like it's this awful time here in the U.S., particularly in the corporate space. But it's, you know, I've been doing this a while, so have you, right? I don't recall
Yeah.
times that felt more challenging, both from a professional and a personal point of view, of just
Yeah.
getting through the day to day and not feeling like overwhelmed a little bit. And so the more organizations can have honest communications about these realities, both what's happening in the external world, but also the realities and the challenges that are happening inside the organization, hopefully they'll be better off. But it's not easy. I'm not trying to here say that's the easy thing to do. If you're a manager, say, of a big team, you've got a lot of responsibilities besides this
Mhm.
too, right?
Yeah. You know, you bring up a good point, and I was thinking about this. I was watching some of the news coming out of Davos the other day, and you're listening to these, really large corporate leaders, right, talking about what's important, and I just feel like we're still missing it. There are so many things we could do internally to help our people, and one of them said something about, well, now's the time we're doing more with less. And I kinda chuckled, I thought, "This has been my entire 30 years in business, has been doing more with less," right? This
Yeah,
So
that's
I
not a new
guess
thing.
what's frustrating to me is that when you look at, whether we're polling HR leaders, right, with all these facts and figures and everything, or whether we're listening to these CEOs of multinational, international corporations, we're not changing. It's like we keep talking about the same thing and nothing ever changes. So,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
funny
know.
you bring that up. I just wanted to add something real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
My first ever performance review, I'll never forget this, as a corporate
Oh,
worker,
gosh.
post-college, first corporate job, right? I worked
Yeah.
as a financial analyst, right? Big corporate, big company, probably top
Mhm.
10 Fortune 500 company at the time.
Yeah.
One of the things I got evaluated on my performance review, and I didn't understand this one bit, was something called tolerance for ambiguity, right? Which is essentially like just adaptability, managing
Yeah,
change,
adaptability.
uncertainty. But this was in 1990, I think, or whatever year it was,
Wow.
right? This is
Yeah.
35 years ago. This is
Yes.
not a new thing. That's why
Not
I
new.
bring it up. It made me think of that story, right? Tolerance for ambiguity was in corporate America in a significant way on my performance review in 1990. And I didn't know what it
Uh,
meant then, hardly. I still barely know
right.
what it means now.
I I mean, you're saying this, and I'm sitting there thinking like, yes, I worked at PwC for a decade, and it was similar, right? But we were kind of told, and I know this goes on in all, professional services, like, we're hiring the best and the brightest, and so you are able to do more with less. You're able to have ambiguity at work. You're able to handle politics in the office. It's like, not really, you know? Like, just because you tell someone they can do something doesn't mean it's gonna work. So,
Yeah. But
I
the
don't know.
reality right now, though, the difference, I guess one of the differences I think in the do more with less kind of thesis
Yeah.
or attitude is it's a real thing because the do more with less is less people, fewer
Mhm.
people, and more technology, right? This is in the news this morning as we record this on
Yeah.
Wednesday. Amazon announced 16,000 new job cuts today, corporate job cuts, right? This is corporate staff. This is not people delivering packages, not people in the
Right.
distribution centers, right, in the supply chain. This is on top of another 17 or 20,000 they did last year. They're attributing it mostly to AI and efficiency, right?
Mhm.
And let me just throw this out that Amazon's earnings are coming out again, I think today maybe, but the last quarter, the last earnings
Yeah.
release that came out, Amazon's profits were up. I'm going to read this so I get this right. Amazon's profits were up almost 40% to $21 billion. That's quarterly profit, revenue at 180 billion, right? So what can't be squared easily by normal people, by normal workers who are not big shareholders, who are not big executives, who are not Wall Street pundits, is how do I square 21 billion in profits quarterly, 40%
Mhm.
increase with, man, we got to get more efficient. We got to get more lean. We got to get more
Ugh.
prepared, right?
Yeah,
And so look, I'm not trying to say people should have job security for their lives. I'm not saying that. It's never been the case in
right.
America. It shouldn't be the case. It will never be the case. Having said that, it is very difficult to accept as an observer of the workplace and someone who tends to feel like, especially lately, the average workers are really kind of getting left behind in a lot of what's happening in the world, that a $21
Uh-huh.
billion quarterly profit, right, equates to,
Mhm.
man, times are tough. It used to be a
Right.
badge of dishonor, right, if a
Yeah,
company had to do a big layoff. Now it's just fine. Thousands of workers just say goodbye. I'm sure the stock is popping. I didn't look today, but I bet
yeah.
Amazon stock's doing really well today as we speak. It's frustrating.
You know, I think that's it. It's feeling like I go back 20 years, I do feel like I had job security first in some regard, right? Like if I was doing what I'm supposed to be doing and all the things. I think people now, they don't feel that at all, which is
Yeah.
also adding to that burnout and that stress, right? You're feeling like you're showing up and you're doing all you can, right? And it for what? So the hard thing too, I think, and I know you have a son in his 20s, but is talking to, my 20 something kids who I'm trying to explain this is how business works, and it doesn't make sense to them,
Explain
and
the
as I'm
Amazon
saying it,
news
it doesn't
today.
make sense
That's
to me,
How are you
you
gonna
know?
explain that? I'm sure there's some great quotes coming out of their C-suite about why they're
Yeah,
doing it, and
right,
look, I don't wanna pick on just them, it's not just them.
oh, no.
UPS announced 30,000 layoffs this year, right? They expected 30,000 layoffs this year. That one's a little bit more tied to kinda traffic and volume and actual business sort of results, but
Sure.
it's still very, very difficult to square, prosperity and great technology and, mm, this incredible future we could be having with so many folks getting
Yeah,
swept up in and just go on Threads or TikTok or Facebook, go wherever you like
yeah.
to go. Follow some people who are talking about trying to find work right now, especially
Oh,
in corporate white
yeah.
collar professional jobs, and it's not hard to find stories of people doing thousands, literally thousands of job applications, right? Not getting
Mhm.
replies, not getting interviews, not getting offers, right? So it's happening right
I'll
now.
offer up just one person. So Jack, who does our play-by-play with Nick, so Jack hasn't graduated college yet, he's graduating in May. From last summer through now, so he had an internship, right, that lasted, I think, till September. But he started in the summer applying for full-time work, right? It took him he was doing over 100 a week
Mhm.
applications, and it took him until just about a week ago, and he finally, after 5 interviews with this company, I won't name the company, but finally got the job
Wow,
for a
congrats to Jack.
full-time
I did
job.
not know that. Awesome.
Yes, so it's amazing, but what I'm saying is, like, if you're taking that much time, you're applying that's thousands of times you're applying to something. And then when you finally is I'm sorry, how hard is it to hire someone just out of college or about out of college? Like, do you really need 5 layers of interview? The process is broken. Organizations are broken. We've known
I
this
watch a
though.
lot of reality TV in my spare time, Trish. People are getting married after, like, 3 days of knowing each other. I see this all the time, right? Like, shouldn't take that
Okay,
long.
I'm laughing only
Hire a
because
budget analyst.
I tell you what, like I got engaged after knowing my husband, my ex-husband, 8 days. Totally not like me, but I don't know, but it lasted 28 years, so I
Wow,
guess there's that, but
there's that.
no, I think you're right. I think it's like we make decisions quickly, we pride ourselves as leaders and being decisive and so forth, and I find that there is such a bottleneck still in the talent acquisition space, and so
Yeah.
for all the billions of dollars, trillions of dollars that go into that, maybe I don't know, I guess the conversation today is leaving me with these ideas of we have a lot left to talk about this year. on our Wednesday show,
Yeah,
and
loads to
I
do.
look
Yeah.
forward to it. And so if you're listening to this, email us, LinkedIn, whatever, get in touch with us. What else do you want to be talking about? Because, or do you have any ideas of how some of these things need to be resolved? But
I
I
wanna
just feel like,
I wanna continue to dive into the AI story this year, the
yeah,
story happening, how workers are showing up, how they're being treated, how they're being supported, what what
yeah,
what companies are doing in these times right now, right? There's been a huge pendulum swinging around, ESG and kinda corporate stances on social
hmm,
issues. I don't need to rehash all the pushback against DE&I that's happened, since
right,
2025 began, right? But that's still an issue,
mhm,
and how folks are navigating issues around burnout, financial stress, mental health, caregiving particularly. So all the things, right? The things that are in our
yep,
report, our 2026 trends report, I think they're there for a reason. I think they're important issues.
mhm.
And yeah, those are the things I want to talk about. We should try to have a little bit of fun too on the show. Today was a little bit heavy, I guess, but
Today's heavy.
there's a lot going on in the world, and we hope to at least talk about it here and help encourage folks to have conversations with us and inside
Yeah.
their own organizations around some of these issues too.
Right. Yeah, it makes me think of a quote, "If everything's important, then nothing's important." And I feel like that's where we are right now in organizations is every single thing is important, and so nothing it's like freeze, you all freeze. So, I did make a note though, organizational caregiving. I think that's what I want us to really
Mhm.
dive into more because I've not heard a single person talking about this. So, thank you for bringing it up. Um, let's really dive into this and maybe we'll get some guests on too to
Yeah,
join us and get
we can do
their
that.
interpretations of how organizations can be more caring and providing support so that you actually can tackle some of these things um, with some movement and some results. But right now, I feel like we're all in freeze mode. So, anyway,
All right, good
well,
stuff,
sorry
Trish.
for the heavy conversation on a Wednesday, but yeah, hopefully we've given you something to think about. Again, reach out to us. You can find us on all the socials at h3hr.com. Drop us a line. And if you want to come on and talk about some of these things, or if you have a burning topic that's just been bothering you and you want to, sort of hash it out and get some feedback in real time, let us know.
Awesome, great stuff, Trish.
All right. You too. Have a great day and have a great day, everyone. Thanks for listening.